Hi everyone, it's Chris Tuck here. I felt compelled to jump on and do this live because there's a lot of things weighing in on me at the moment and I need to be able to express them. I don't know how long I'm going to be talking for and it's not structured, so I may be going off on tangents, so please bear with me. Now, it's Sexual Abuse and Sexual Violence Awareness Week, which makes this even more pertinent and timely. This Awareness Week was founded by my good friend, Yehudis Goldsable, and I always mispronounce her last name, so I do apologise, but Yehudis G, you can find her all over social media under that tag. She founded this week to raise awareness about what sexual abuse is, how prevalent it is, where it can be found, and that is in all institutions, across all ethnicities, across all classes. Anyone can be a perpetrator, anyone can be a victim. So I helped Yehudis, along with many other people, to create the platform for Sexual Abuse and Sexual Violence Awareness Week. No one owns it. Everyone can get involved. Victims, survivors, supporters, organisations, institutions. It's about raising awareness. It's about taking action, and it's about holding people to account. So that's that out of the way. I have been a member of the Victim and Survivors Consultative Panel at the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse for 7 years plus. That ended for me in November 22. After taking part in that inquiry at that level, I needed to take time out to just decompress and find out where I'm going next. It took its toll on me mentally and physically, but it was my choice to take part because I felt that I needed to give back, share everything, and use this once in a lifetime opportunity to create change, to better protect children today and tomorrow. That's always been my aim, and the people that I've worked with along the way, that's always been their aim, and we're going to continue to do that. Now, I feel that there are many people living in a bubble of safety and comfort, and they don't actually look outwards to see what is going on around them. And that could be because of fear, because of what's going on in their own lives is just taking over all of their energy and all of their attention, and they don't want to look what else is going on in the world. I wish I had that to go to, but I've seen and felt so much injustice that I just cannot be one of those people. I have my own life, of course I do, but I fight for the underdog. I don't like that term actually, I don't know why I use that, but you know what I mean. I fight for where there is injustice. I fight for where there is a misuse of power, a misuse of control, and that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with many victims and survivors. And where I'm going with this is, as you know, it's all over the news if you choose to look across social media, on the media. At the moment, there is a light being shone on the police and the abuse that's happening within the police and the abuse that is happening by some serving police officers up and down the country against Joe Public, whether that be women, girls, or men and boys. It's happening. across the board. Now, I am married to a police officer and he's done nearly 30 years service. I am proud of him and what he has achieved. And I know many fantastic police officers, serving and retired. So this is not about me throwing stuff at them, but it's about me raising awareness, and it's about me being honest, open and transparent, which all institutions need to be going forwards. So as I said, the light at the moment is being shone on the police. The inquiry, ICSA, shone a light on faith settings, schools and other institutions, and this is all happening across the board. Yeah. So we're shining a light at the moment in the media on the police, but this is happening in all institutions. So all institutions need to look at themselves. They need to look at their culture. They need to look at their policies, their procedures, their processes. They need to make sure that everybody working within their organisation, within their institution, feels safe, feels valued. And if there is something that is not happening, that is correct, that is inappropriate, there should be a clear route of being able to take action against whoever is being inappropriate. So this is about sexual abuse, sexual violence, sexual awareness here. So what comes out of our mouth? What are we physically doing against people that is inappropriate, that we should not be doing or saying? It comes down to the leadership. It comes down to the rank and the file. So it's about all of us being upstanders in our workplace, in our home lives, and within our communities. Being upstanders to not accepting certain behaviours, the use of certain language. We need to be upstanders, not bystanders. I use this analogy when I talk about bullying, yeah? But bullying, harassment, abuse, it's all the same stuff. It's dressed up under different names, okay? I'm an overthinker, and I look across the board and I feel it in my chest, in my heart. I really cannot abide injustice. I cannot abide the misuse of power and control. And that's why I will always speak up, no matter what the cost is to me personally. I've been there with my caregivers in my family home. I've been there with bosses in the workplace doing things that they should not be doing, yeah? And it having a mental and a physical impact on me. So all I can do is share it from my perspective, because I can't speak on behalf of other people, but I know how other people feel because they tell me on a daily basis about the injustices going on in the workplace, about the injustices and the abuse and the bullying and the cover-up and the silence that goes on in the family home, in the community, in the workplace. It doesn't matter where it's happening everywhere. And we all need to be upstanders here, and we need to call it out. We need to call it out for what it is, and we need to see action. We need to see accountability, okay? Whether it be in the family home, in the community, or within in an institution. And the only way change happens is when many of us use our voices to make that change happen. So sorry if I feel like I'm coming off a soapbox here, but I am, because I'm sick and tired of this happening all around us, yeah? There are other things happening around us that I can't speak about purely because I'll be shut down on these platforms. I will be censored, and I don't want that. You need to be in it to make a change. If you're kicked off the platforms, you can't speak freely and openly and bring to everybody's attention what is happening. But by focusing in on this, I'm hoping that people can open their eyes, open their ears, and see the bigger picture, because it's happening in different scenarios and different situations. So I recorded yesterday a podcast with my good friend Beverly Ann, Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward podcast. We recorded about people in positions of power and trust. What's happening with the police at the moment is breaking the trust of Joe Public coming forwards to report any type of crime, let alone sexual abuse, sexual violence, rape, those kind of crimes that have happened. Now, I've just sat there and watched this morning the exposure programme on ITV about women in policing. So this is actual women police officers serving and retired or left, how they are dealt with in the workplace, and also victims and survivors that have come forwards to report crimes of rape, horrific crimes that are going to impact them for the rest of their lives, yeah, and how some police officers have treated these potential cases, okay? I've sat there and watched it. You can go and watch it if you choose to, okay? It's horrific. So I started this video by saying, I'm not dumping on the police. 5 years going through the criminal justice system, being married to a police officer for 30 years, I know there are good people doing good work, but we are shining a light on those that are not. We're shining a light on those that are being inappropriate. We're shining a light on those that should not be serving in the police or any other institution where they are using or misusing their power, their control, they're misusing the trust that they may have with a child or a vulnerable person. So you can take that across all institutions. Perpetrators will turn up in an institution. They will look at who is vulnerable, who they can get close to, often grooming all the people around that child or vulnerable person, be it an adult. Where there is power, they will hone in on the weakest. And I don't mean weakest in the sense of you are a weak person. I mean of not being aware that this could potentially happen. Yeah, they will build trust with their potential victim, with the people around that potential victim, so that when and if that victim is able to speak up and speak out, often the people around that victim will not believe the victim because the perpetrator has done such a good job of building the trust and saying, look, I'm an upstanding person. I would never do that. Are you going to believe the child or the vulnerable person who may be mentally unwell? Are you going to believe them over me, this person that is, giving back to society, that has a powerful position, that can be trusted? Can you see how this all works, guys? Yep. So my message to you is, do not blindly trust anyone, not even me. Go and check out what I'm saying. It's all there for you to see if you choose to see it and if you choose to hear it. Yeah. Go and do your own stuff, your own research. But I'm here to bring awareness and shine a light because I am an agent for change. That is my mission in life. I communicate, I shine a light, and I try and change things in a positive way that brings about a benefit to everybody, to not be abused, not to become a victim, and not to be a survivor of awful, awful crimes, because we don't want that. We want to protect our children and our vulnerable adults. So if you haven't watched Exposure, Women in Police, please go and watch it. I've already tweeted some of the things that was within that programme, and I've tagged the Home Office, government, police chiefs, the London Victims Commissioner, the Police and Crime Commissioner, the person who made the programme, Julie Edgingham. I'm hopeless with names. I apologise. Sir Mark Rowley, the man who is now in charge of the Met Police. But this is police forces across the country that have this problem of misogyny, misconduct, and not acting upon allegations of abuse. Harriet Wistridge was in this programme. She fights for the rights of victims and survivors when it comes to the criminal justice system. This lady knows her stuff. She came with me and my sister to the Crown Prosecution Service in our final meeting with them to ask them why they didn't proceed with our case through the criminal justice system, and also why they stopped it when we tried to bring a private prosecution. And after the meeting, which I did record and I have a transcript for, and I've not shared with anyone or shared it anywhere yet, I had a conversation with Harriet and I said, they did not listen to a word I said. They had a preset outcome already, and what they were saying was so in a different language that it was almost like I was having a conversation over here about the case, about why, and I was asking them specific questions which I wanted yes and no answers to, and yet they were going off on a ramble over here, and it was a completely separate conversation. I felt like I had been in the twilight zone and I was just not being heard or being completely ignored. Their way was the way. It was the highway. And there was no coming down to my level of understanding and my level of, just even being heard. And it was just so, it was an out of body experience for me, let alone people like my sister that just doesn't have the exposure that I've had through being on the inquiry for 7 years and being in all different conversations with different institutions and different people at different levels. So I've had that exposure, and to an extent I know what I'm talking about, yet here I am in a meeting about our family case with the CPS, not getting across, not being heard, and actually being told a completely different story of actually nonsense, in my opinion. It beggars belief. So going back to ICSA and the final report that ICSA produced, on the day of launch, Liz Truss, our MP, our Prime Minister, resigned at the same time that all of the media were there to shine a light on the report and its conclusions and its recommendations. And because of Liz Truss resigning on that day, at that time rather, the media disappeared to 10 Downing Street, and then all you heard was about her resigning. Now, many victim survivors feel that that was done on purpose. I agree with them. Why couldn't she have resigned the day before, the day after, or after the report was released? So I'm always going to come back to this report, because what I've spoken about so far about the institutional failings or failures has happened in all institutions, and the recommendations that the inquiry put forwards, like a minister responsible for looking at sexual abuse, sexual violence, and a department dedicated to this, would have really helped if it was up and running to shine a light on what's happening with the police right now, and would be able to work with the police to change its culture, to make sure that its policies, its processes and its procedures are actually activated and followed, and people held to account if it was not followed in the correct way. So that minister and that department could be actively working right now with police forces across the country to make change about the language that they use, about the whistleblowers that come forwards, about cases that are happening within the forces and cases that are happening outside with Joe Public. So it's really important that we keep banging on the door of this and saying, what are you doing? This is the problem. Acknowledge it. The problem exists in every single institution. I've spoken so many times before about bullying within schools, and schools saying, no, there's no problem here, Gov, move along. I'm telling you, there is bullying in every single school. We need to acknowledge it. Once we acknowledge it, we can do something about it. So rather than putting reputation before protection, which is one of the things that was highlighted throughout the whole inquiry final report, institutions will put their reputation before protection. This is not right. So if we all acknowledge that bullying, harassment, abuse goes on within every institution, and this is what we're going to do about it, we're going to have a zero tolerance approach to it, so that we can acknowledge cases when they come forwards. We can believe the people, whether it be a child, a vulnerable adult, or someone else who is a victim of a crime. They come forward, we believe it's happened. We have the policies, the processes, the procedures to follow, and we actively action and make people accountable. We are open, we are honest, we are truthful, we are transparent about all of it. There's no brushing things under the carpet anymore. There is no ignoring that we have an issue, that we have a problem. We have the opportunity to sort all of this out. We have the opportunity to build trust. We have the opportunity to make the home environment, the school environment, the faith settings, the after-school clubs, the out-of-school, out-of-home activities, the workplace. We have an opportunity to make it safe for everybody, to have the trust there that action will be taken. People that are misusing their positions of power and control are causing, creating, committing crimes are held to account. This is what we need to be doing, and we all need to be upstanders in this and not bystanders. We need to call it out. We need all of us to be a catalyst for change, positive change that benefits our children and future generations. Deep breath. Let it go. Sometimes I do feel like it's too big of a job, but it ain't just down to me to raise awareness, to bring this to your table. It's down to every single one of us. Every single one of us knows a child or has a child that could potentially be already impacted by some of this or is going to be impacted by some of this. So we all need to be proactive in this and not reactive. So I know I've shone a light on the policing because it's very topical at the moment, but there was a case of a black girl being abused, bullied by white pupils at a school. That is also very topical at the moment. Yeah. There were bystanders. Don't be an effing bystander. Be a positive role model and be an upstander. Don't let this stuff happen. Don't let it happen. My daughter was bullied and abused within a local school. I was going through my own stuff. Yet I know it's my duty to stand up and protect my daughter and to call it out. I worked with that school. I went in there. I challenged their policies, their processes, their procedures. I challenged their culture. I met with the head and called it out for what it was. Because they wouldn't acknowledge in the first place that bullying was happening, it got brushed under the carpet. My daughter, the victim, had to deal with the impact of not only feeling silenced, but dealing with the ongoing feeling of powerlessness, the ongoing feeling of not being protected, the ongoing fear of going to school. It ain't right, guys. It's not right. And because of the cover-up, the silencing, she wasn't able to get the help and support that she needed. Now, you can use that scenario and put it in any workplace, any institution. And that is what's happening all around. So let's change things, yeah? So that children do not go on into their adolescence and adult lives being impacted with this silence, this fear, this feeling of powerlessness. This feeds into their relationships. So many people that have been victims of crime like this, of this nature, they go on to having relationships that are abusive and coercive control and just horrible, horrendous, ongoing trauma and impact. So we need to start with the awareness, education, challenging the status quo, and making sure we all are upstanders and demand change when we see that it's not happening correctly, when there is this bullying, when there is this abuse, when there is this harassment. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I've been there, I've done it multiple times in the home environment, in the work environment, in the community. I know it's not easy, but the only way it becomes more acceptable and easier to be a whistleblower, that term should never exist. The culture, the policies, the processes, the procedures should be enough for anybody to feel that they should be able to come forwards and get the help and support that they need, and for that change to happen around them. It should just automatically happen, but it doesn't. So the term whistleblower is there for those people that feel that, enough is enough. I've spoken to my leaders. I've followed the policies. I've followed the processes. I've followed the procedures, and nothing's changed. And if anything, I have been impacted by people closing ranks around me, and now I'm being targeted. And that is very clear in this program that I've just watched, Exposure Women in the Police, the inside story. And as I said, it's happening there, and it's happening in every single institution. And I want to reiterate that there are many good people in every single institution. It just takes those good people to collaborate together to call out injustice, to call out bullying, harassment, call out abuse, and to make sure that the people that are perpetrating it are held to account. That's what it takes. So, if anything I've said resonates with you today, please comment below. If anything I've said you disagree with, comment below and tell me why. What have I said that you disagree with, and why do you disagree with it? I would love to know, because hand on heart, I'm 52 now. I'm too long in the tooth for brushing things under the carpet. Too old, too wise. Yeah, too old, too wise. And I'm not putting up with bullshit anymore. I'm just not doing it. Yeah, I'm calling it out for what it is, and I want proactive change, because I'm sick and tired of not only myself living with impact, but people around me that have gone through similar living with impact. And some of those people are no longer with us because they've taken their own lives because of the pain that they're in due to the harm that has been caused to them by these perpetrators out there. Yeah. So if you agree with me, disagree with me, if you want to support me in this, share this video. It is about bringing awareness to Sexual Abuse and Sexual Violence Awareness Week, but it's also calling out all institutions, because they've all got a problem. Once you acknowledge a problem, you can start putting a solution in place that will deal with the problem and decrease the impact of people going through any kind of harm from bullying, abuse, harassment, whatever it may be, whatever it might look like. All right. I think that's me done, to be honest. I could talk and talk and talk, but I just feel like my energy now is quite low, and I need to go and balance that out with doing something positive for me, my own self-care. And just going forward, I want to let you know I am working with the Metropolitan Police. I am working with the other members of the VSCP. I am working with Simon Bailey. I am going to be working with universities. I am working with Emma Harewood, who's trying to bring a suitable, appropriate pathway to the southeast of England that has best practice in helping and supporting victims and survivors of child sexual abuse. So I've got my fingers in lots of pies, but I think where I add value is that I'm looking across the bigger picture. I'm seeing the commonalities. I'm hearing people and I'm expressing my own views without being too judgmental on anybody, because to bring about this positive change, culture change that we need to be working with the people in the institutions. We need to be understanding what it is they're dealing with in order to change it. Obviously, we need to be getting rid of perpetrators. We have to hold them to account. But at the same time, there are many good people within all of these institutions that are fearful of speaking up, that are dealing with holding down their jobs, wanting their careers, want to shine a light on what's going on, but are fearful on the impact on them. And I completely get it. I understand it. I've been there. I've done that. But there comes a time when you go, you know what? Enough's enough. Can't be dealing with this anymore. Something's got to change. I have to stand up. I have to be a voice. One of many voices, I'm sure. Because we've got to start tackling this situation. And we should be, the VSEP should be meeting with the Home Secretary to discuss some of this stuff. Yeah. So again, I'm working at the higher levels, I'm working at the mid levels, and I'm working at the Joe Public level, raising awareness, shining a light. What can we do to positively change all of this so that the trauma impact is minimised as much as it can be on victim and survivors? That's all I can say, really. I don't know what else I can say apart from carrying on with my work and being open and honest. Yeah, got nothing else to say, really. So please share this. Please raise awareness. Please be an upstander, not a bystander. Listen to those who express what's happening to them. Help and support them as much as possible. If people are not able to express what's going on for them, maybe just be more aware of what's going on around you, of the people in your lives, and especially children. Look out for the signs that are non-verbal. Look out for the changes in the children around you. Look how they are interacting with certain people or not. Look out for those silent cues. Step in when you can, where you can. Let's all make this world a better, safer place for the children and our most vulnerable. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please share. Thank you.